Welcome to 4C's One Family, where we share thoughts about living life in Taiwan, the region, and the world. I'm your host, James Thomas, coming to you from Taipei, Taiwan, and I'm so glad to have you traveling along with me on this journey, and welcome to the show. Looking at the wrong camera, I'm sure you're looking over here, but I'm looking at the wrong camera over here, so please forgive me. Well, guys, I'm going to be talking a little bit about what's the big whoop-ha out here right now, at least here in Taiwan a little bit. Maybe not that big, but in the States, is in some athletic arenas, it's, especially Winter Olympics, it's a big hoopla going on about it. And also, what got me on an impetus to do something tonight here in Taiwan is a live stream from Mr. Randy Flag of the podcast Black and Abroad in Asia, right? Really cool guy. And he's been in the YouTube scene for a long time, and he's doing his streams from China. And right now he's in Shanghai. And he talks about some quite delicate topics, at least for his position, you know, being where he's located. Some of the stuff gets some haggles for him sometimes, and I do understand that. And, you know, I've chatted with him a few times, and, we have different opinions about certain things in the region and mainland China and Taiwan. But for the most part, we agree a lot. I mean, we're both from Nueva York. That's right, South Bronx, and that's very interesting. We're both African Americans. And basically what he talked about was basically hypocrisy, basically. He talked about the situation that's going on with Eileen Gu, or Gu Eileen. She's, she's American. She's born in California. Mom's from China. And she's competing in skiing for China. She's American, but she's competing for China, which is okay. We'll talk more about that in a few minutes. But Randy, I think he called his particular episode Eileen Gu won gold for the United States, won a medal for the United States. And he was quite animate about it. He felt that Eileen, Miss Gu Eileen, she's a traitor. I mean, he was not wavering, and during his live stream, he got hassled by visiting Wumao or trolls, or just people just had basic different opinions in his. But he handled it very well. But he still stood his ground, and he made his points clear. And this is very important today. If people are not willing to hear other people's opinions, well, just plug your ears up. I mean, we got all this Joe Rogan canceling going on in the world. But the thing is, we should owe at least a little respect to at least hear each other out. And then from there, gather up your conclusions and put them together and compare. It may be hard for some people to admit that they're wrong or they need adjustments, but my point here is just to mention, it's good that we keep the platform, the ground open for people to talk to each other. So right now, I'm going to put my little 2 cents in it. I'm representing myself, and there's a lot of things that we can add on to it, but I would rather share that with a person across the seat from me here. But I want to mention a few things. You see, and a lot of it I'll be repeating what Randy said. Gu Eileen Gu, she's 18 years old. Mom came to the United States in about the 2000s. Went to school in Auburn University, right? Auburn University and Fordham University. I think maybe it's New York Fordham University, a place that I'm Fordham University, I'm very familiar with that place, especially the library. Very familiar with that place. And mom came to U.S. right around the time of Liu Si. And she's about 20 years old. She met an American who was a former national skier, and gave birth to Eileen Gu, and somehow got involved in skiing, and maybe it was because of the the dad's influence. Some things do run in the family, right? So Elaine, at a young age, got to stand on snow. Now, she is a very, very competitive person. She's really ranked high, and she already has a gold right now in her event, and she may be in line to get more. And she has a proven record. She's a great skier. But she's trained most of the time in the United States, U.S. facilities and things like that, and rarely actually spend a lot of time in China. I'm not sure, but I think her mom's from Beijing. I'm not sure. But she, from the information that I'm able to pull up, and also heard from Randy, that she comes from a very affluent family. Her grandparents supported her a lot. Because her mom was sent to the United States to study at very prestigious schools in the States. And they're not SUNY level cheap schools. I shouldn't say cheap, but they're very expensive. Obviously, Elaine's mom is a bright woman. She currently works for, she's an investment firm, I think. But her mom's pretty swift. Now, to add more on this, she's getting a lot of sweat from U.S.-based people, but they love her in China. They really do love her in China because she fits a certain, how would you say, narrative that a lot of Chinese nationalists would like to see promoted, right? She's very attractive, young, obviously a very warm personality that's very welcoming to mainland Chinese nationalists, which is good. It's good to be, to have someone you can be proud in. But she fits a certain template. And Randy expressed it quite well. And maybe I'll talk a little bit more here, but I will not overstress it. But if you can, jump over to his channel and listen to what he talked about earlier today. But she fits a certain narrative. Attractive, speaks Mandarin quite fluent, of course, mom. Comes from skiing roots. But that is not in the picture as far as I see recently. I'm seeing messages that her dad is not in the scene, didn't do much, but the mom really planted her feet into skiing. Some of the Western media said her mom was quite like a tiger mom. Huma. But not to focus too much off of that. It's obvious that her mom's earlier seen her daughter's talent and did a lot to foster her growth. Her grandparents actually helped a lot too. I've seen a picture of her sweet, wonderful grandma, and it's warming. But once again, going back to the narrative, Eileen Gu, she fits a certain narratives that's very attractive to people in China. She's white. She's attractive, and this is cool. It's very nice. There are a lot of people who have parents who are half North American and Chinese, but you haven't seen any Blasians or people who have a black parent or a Chinese parent. You don't see that quite often in the media in China. While I was a student in China, I've never seen it. Never. And that can lead on to a whole different topic right now. But I think Randy actually digs deeper than probably I ever would want to. But this is something to keep in mind. She's a winner. She's a good representative, but she is American, but she's competing for China. And from what I can understand or what I feel, this was not primarily her choice, especially seeing that she's only 18 now. She's competed a lot in China. She's competed in Aspen. She's competed all over the place. Like I said, she's very talented. There's no doubt about it. So what I'm alluding to basically is that her parent, mom, basically actually foothold her into representing mainland China. I'll talk more about that in a few minutes, but keep that in the back of your mind. She's getting quite a lot of accolades right now in China, which is cool. Now, of course, I can't continue without mentioning something else. And now keep in mind that Gu Eileen Gu, she was born in California, San Francisco, in fact. Yes, San Francisco. But there's another. She has another, say, person who's in her similar situation, but different. Similar situation, but different. Her name is Zhu Yi, right? Her English name originally was Beverly Zhu. Now, I'm bringing it up because her dad is from China. I don't know much about the mom. I didn't find much information, but dad worked in the U.S., educated in the U.S., as a student. And somehow I think maybe his dad went over with his wife, and Beverly was born in the States. Turns out that Beverly's dad, or Zhu Yi, her dad went back to China, got a job, teaching in school, and Beverly's family decided to go to China. Now, I can't say Beverly decided to return to China because she was born in the States. She was born in California, too. Interesting, huh? California. That kind of gave me the impetus to actually put up this particular title for this episode. But Beverly Zhu, or Zhu Yi, she was born in California, just like Eileen Gu Eileen. More on that. But this is the situation. She gave up her U.S. citizenship. She formerly represented the United States, but now she's representing China. But in her situation, she is hitting some rough roads. Earlier today, I'm not up to what happened a couple of hours ago, but earlier today, she didn't do too well in the performance, which really knocked down her ranking. I think she still has to compete in some other competitions for China, but the Chinese netosphere went crazy. She got pulled to the ground and driven through the mud. If you look at some of the Chinese comments that you see on Weibo, their version of Twitter, there was calling her some names. Some of the comments I still see there now. They were saying, why? She doesn't even speak Mandarin very well. What is she doing representing China? First, get to know the language. Okay, she's American. Maybe she doesn't speak Mandarin that well because she's not around a lot of people who speak Mandarin often, while she was living in the United States, at least. The other thing is, they're talking about we have other more qualified Chinese people that should be on the team, not this girl. She's getting a lot of hate. But I think that she has she has a little leg room to redeem herself. But the thing is, she got hate to a massive degree. Now, she's also a very attractive girl, you know. She's obviously a better skier than most of us mouthpieces out here, regardless. Now, the question to me is, before I talk about the topic, is why is this happening? Why is this happening? Eileen, she could make the U.S. team, I would say. No problem, I would say. No, I shouldn't say no problem, because competition here in the United States is high. Believe me, I know. She could probably make most national teams. But I question about Beverly or Zhu Yi. You see, a lot of athletes from one nation, born in one nation, they do compete for other teams. Excuse me, other nations, I should say. People born in one nation, some of them who have, you know, say aspirations in sports or education and stuff like that, they do compete or work in other places because they have something called dual citizenship. Dual citizenship is a key, right? Now, right now, we're hearing the news about people who are American or former Americans who maybe competing for China or who gave up the American citizenship to compete for China. It's big, it's news and people are looking into it now. But this is not the first time something like this has happened. It isn't. America has also been involved in something like this too. Now I'm going to show something up here and see if I can bring it up here. Question is, why some American athletes can compete for other countries in the Olympics? Now, what you're seeing now is a photo of Mr. Gus Kenworthy. Mr. Gus Kenworthy. He's a freestyle skier. And in 2014, he won a silver medal for the United States. Right now, he's 30 years old. He says this is his final Olympics. But why is he competing for another country? That's right. He's American, but he's competing for Great Britain. He's competing for Great Britain. Could he have made the U.S. team? I don't know. But maybe he's competing for Great Britain for a reason. He does have dual citizenship. He's always had dual citizenship. He's a different situation than most. But why? And this is something that we can talk about. We can talk about dual citizenship, competing for another nation. Like some people will probably want to choose to compete for another nation because competition in their home nation is just so darn high. Yeah. Competition in sports, even financial arena, in places like the United States and Great Britain, France, and whatever, is really high. And to be an athlete who has put in so much blood, sweat, and tears in their sport, all of their dream is to compete internationally, not only locally, but to a level that would bring them some kind of accolades. I can understand that. Most people should be able to understand that. And it's been happening a lot. So, is it allowed? Now, according to the Olympic Charter, a bylaw to Rule 41 of the Olympic Charter states that athletes with dual citizenship can represent the country they choose, and athletes who gain new citizenship or wish to change their Olympic status can do so if 3 years have passed since they competed for their previous country. For their previous country. Now, we look at the situation in China, we see things like this going on. And we may be a lot of people all in awe about it. But, you know, this may be new to some people, but keep in mind that this has also happened for the case of the United States. This is an article I got up. I just showed the page, but on the lower part it says, Nigerian-born Hakeem Olajuwon helped the 1996 basketball dream team win gold. But at that time, I didn't hear much of a ruckus about that. So that should be a signal for something. Canadian-born Tamith Belbon, I got the pronunciation wrong, won a silver in ice skating in 2006. Now, she did this right after Congress passed a special act signed by George W. Bush that granted her, before the turning games, the right, Winter Games, to represent the United States. Cool, huh? I don't know much about the CG, but the intricacies of this passing done by Congress, this special act. But she had the backing, like many other people, probably. Now, this is quite interesting. And it's going to be more problematic because obviously Beverly or Zhu Yi or Eileen Gu, they come from perceived backgrounds that offer them certain opportunities, not only on an athletic level, but also maybe and most likely on financial level. We all know, I hope we do, that those with certain financial capabilities have more financial freedom and are very much able to move from place to place, nation to nation, acquire citizenships, or get involved in a situation that will allow them to become an asset for a certain nation that would allow them to get another country's passport. Quite interesting. I don't think you will see a kid like me from the South Bronx being able to get up and run over someplace to another nation, especially a very prosperous nation, and just walk in and get a passport if you're not a dual citizen or have parents there or some kind of backing there. It ain't going to happen. But if you have connections, friends and family or who possess a very affluent financial background or political connections, you can do a lot more. And I'm seeing this. Now, about the title. I've mentioned in my former episodes about a little bit about birthright citizenship, one in particular, but I want to just put this out there, and I will talk about it later because right now I got a lot of things going on and production-wise and stuff like that with other things. But I put out there, could birthright citizenship become basically a biological weapon or just a sitting time bomb? Think about how nations like the United States, and I'm not only pinning and pointing at mainland China in this example, but think about a lot of minds, fruitful minds that came to Western nations, especially the United States, and went to great schools. A lot of them were backed by their family who had the ability to pay the tuition and travel, or even groups that supported them. I'm not saying these people are not bright individuals. They obviously were. But you take another look at it. the United States has done a lot to educate other nations' citizens. It's become more of a business for them. If you look at Australia, their economy is very much tied up into education, especially coming from China in this situation. Maybe quite naturally so, since China has the biggest population in the world, right? Or one of them. But think about it. Democratic or liberal democratic nations, or relatively liberal democratic nations, have provisions that allow people to take part openly with little restriction. Unlike certain authoritarian nations, and you know what I'm getting to here. The reciprocation is not shared. It's not shared with the neighbors next door. It's very hard to see, for example, a Western foreign national involved in research projects in places like mainland China or Russia. But in the United States, you see it all the time. People with dual citizenships, mainland Chinese citizenships, Taiwanese citizenships, working in Western nations like my home nation. But this sets in a chance for people to be willingly or forcefully coerced to engage in espionage. And that's just a cold fact. And it's a time bomb. I'm relating this to birthright citizenship too. We know that many years ago, individuals traveling to the United States will give birth in Western nations, especially here, in my home nation, United States, and their child becomes native. They get a passport, which allows them gives them room to bring in their family members who are from other nations and things like that. This is a time bomb. And I made a comment just now that Eileen Gu and Zhu Yi were both born in California, a place commonly known to have recorded birth hotels, motels where people, especially from mainland China in this case, with money, go there, give birth to their child, a couple of weeks and go back, but their child is American, which entitles them to certain local privileges, financial, educational, that can be used later as leverage, for certain rights in the Western nation. This is interesting. You do not see this type of multiplication done in authoritarian governments. This is something that America needs to wake up to. And please, my friends back home in other Western democratic nations, you guys, we need to wake up. Reciprocation should be the guideline we should measure each other by. There aren't going to be many nations that will be able to call themselves friends. Frenemies is more the term that I would like to use. This is something that needs to be shaken into the minds of those in Western governments, and for them to put it on their agenda. Land of the free and home of the brave. This is a situation in this case where my home nation may be putting their foot in their mouths. They're both from California, a place known for having a record of people coming from overseas nations, especially China, to give birth to children. And now everything is coming to roost. So I just want to jump in here, and I made a comment in in Randy's stream that I'm going to talk about something like this tonight, but I just got things together here. There's a lot more can be spoken about this, but I just want to say that very quickly. And look, it's late here. Not many people are up. People on the East Coast of the United States are probably just waking up right now or at work. So thanks a lot for listening to this rebroadcast. And guys, take care wherever you are in the world. And if you can, please help me spread the word that, people do have a lot more in common than they think. I'll be back. Take care. And remember, stay strong, safe, and healthy wherever you are in the world. Peace.